Hi guys, Nick O'Shea from O'Shea & Son Builders here. We've got Agata from Urban Turf with us today at the Build and Design Centre. How are you? Thanks for being with us today.
Good, thanks very much, Nick. How are you?
Good, thank you. So tell me a little bit about Urban Turf.
So Urban Turf Solutions, we are a synthetic turf manufacturer.
Yeah.
We are the only manufacturer of synthetic turf in Queensland and the only privately owned manufacturer in Australia.
Yeah. That's awesome because it's so important. We're moving much more towards now, particularly after the pandemic that's just happened, is making sure that we're using Australian-made products and products that are locally made and putting that into the homes that we're building. So it's so important to hear that you guys do all of that. So tell us a little bit about the manufacturing process then.
So we manufacture over 30 different types of products.
Yeah.
There are two groups of synthetic turf grasses. So you've got obviously landscape looking grass, just like that. So pretty much natural looking product.
Yep.
And another group is sport and recreational surfaces. So
Sure.
anything for putting greens, tennis courts, soccer fields, multi-sport courts. Yes, we've got it all.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so I guess a lot of things that people would ask is, well, why would you go for an artificial turf versus a natural or more of a traditional turf in your backyard?
So as you know, there's the population density is higher and higher in Australia. So houses are smaller, backyards are smaller, which quite often they just 20, 30, 40 squares meters in backyard, which makes it quite challenging to maintain that kind of space. We're very time poor and space poor in our houses. So installing synthetic turf in your backyard, you're saving time, you're saving water, you're saving on application of chemicals, so any pesticides, herbicides. You pretty much you don't have to do any of that. And going with a quality product, it's UV stabilized, so it will look natural. It's not going to fade. And yes, you can just sit down and relax pretty much. Yeah,
I've got it in my backyard and we've lived there for quite a few years now, and one of the huge benefits for me is sitting out the back with the kids and not having to worry about ants biting you.
Yes.
So we love that they can be out there playing with their cars, and we're not going to have to worry about anything coming up. But for me, because I am at work so much, out and about, and we like to get away on the weekends, that we don't need to worry about coming home and mowing and whippersnipping. So that to have that ability in the backyard, that it always looks beautiful and green, we just love that. So. And
there are some spaces also that natural grass just literally will not grow. So either under trees like jacarandas or poincianas or very shady areas, natural grass, unfortunately, it's just not. It's not a product that will perform. So instead of struggling and replacing this natural turf every 12 months, you can just install synthetic turf and you can forget about the whole hassle.
And I think a really important side of it is I've been starting to see it a lot more in application when we're working on tricky blocks where they're really steep, and we're trying to still get that connection from the indoor to an outdoor area, and with suspended slabs or floor systems that go out, being able to put a synthetic turf over the top of it all to ensure that it's you're still getting that backyard feel off your main living spaces has been really important, and a trend that we're seeing a lot more of. So a really important aspect of our business is ensuring that we can build homes that are accessible, and we know that we've worked with you guys before in ensuring that a property is accessible all around the home, and what comes with accessibility is in some instances disabilities, and to know that they don't need to have tradespeople that come around to mow the lawns and look after the lawns and weed the lawns, to be able to have this access, to be able to come out and have that maintenance free. And as we're all busier and busier, it's so important. But tell us a little bit about some of the products that, so that they can be accessible.
Yeah, so for example, I know that one of the projects that we work with you guys, Urban Windsor over here, that was supplied and installed by one of our recommended installers. So it is a 35 mil product. of course, when it comes to accessibility, especially for, for example, wheelchair, you have to be mindful about making sure that the surface is not too plush, or the grass is not too plush, because obviously it will be a little bit harder for wheelchair to move on that type of surface. So we increase the amount of sand infill. This way, yes, person on a wheelchair have that freedom of moving around and accessing the areas that they want to, rather than, as you mentioned, just relying on either maintenance crew coming and keep maintaining that area. And again, if you have a heavy rainfall with natural grass, sometimes it gets muddy, and the ground gets soft. So unfortunately, that's when it can create some challenges. Where synthetic turf, if you have synthetic turf is installed on compacted road base and crush dust. So once the subsurface is installed properly and it's nice and leveled, all you do, then you roll out the grass on top of it, put the sand infill in, and you pretty much have a nice, neat space.
Cool. And so tell us a little about its life expectancy. How often do we need to be looking at changing it? I guess in some aspects, do we look at it a bit like carpet? Internally, it only lasts a certain amount of time before we should be looking at changing it again?
Because we manufacture our products here in Australia, the quality of our product is very consistent. All our synthetic grasses are UV stabilized for Australian weather conditions, and this is really important. Sometimes some imported products, they're not UV stabilized or properly UV stabilized, and then you may have some problems with discoloration or streakiness of the product. So that UV stabilization is very important. And when it comes to life cycle, it all depends on how often do you use the surface, and obviously it comes down to maintenance. People quite often think that synthetic turf doesn't need any maintenance. It does. Obviously it's a minimal in comparison to natural grass, but you still need to broom it, and sometimes need to top up with some sand. But in general, for residential application, if the product is maintained properly, anything between 10 and 20 years, you'll be that should be a standard.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, for 10 to 20 years, like even I know landscapers that will often go into homes every 10 years to replace a lot of turf if it's not maintained properly. You know what I mean? So to know that the product's in that same sort of realm, it's fantastic. So and so when do you think when's the best time to get homeowners involved into making their decisions around their turf, and also, I guess, into preparation at the backs?
I think it's good to kind of, you don't have to make a decision when you start building a home, but definitely before you put the fences up and finish, it's definitely when you put the fences up, because we quite often get asked, can you give us an indication on the cost, supply and install per square meter, and really, especially in residential applications, site access is crucial. And as you know, there were a couple of jobs where you have to actually carry everything in through the house, or you don't want to include the crane, because that's going to be an absolutely outrageous cost. But yes, I'll just probably make a decision as you start building the house.
Because a lot of people leave landscaping until the last minute. Do you know what I mean? And, I mean, working with O'Shea and some builders, we love to be able to give a turnkey package, so it includes all the landscaping, the pool and everything. So we like to forward plan and think about it, and especially when we've got sloping blocks and access issues later on. So it's something I think that it is really important for owners to know that they're going down that path in those particular areas, so that we can get machines in to be able to try to level out as much as we can, and then even if we've got piles of the road base and crusher dust in the backyard,
it's already in there.
It's
at
least
makes
in
it
there.
So much easier.
So that when the landscapers come in to spread it all out, at least it's there and ready. Another important factor is, I guess, is that we look at is trying to make sure we've got yard gullies and strip drains in appropriate places and at the right depths to be able to get the all the water flow off to be able to work. And I think that's an important factor when it comes to using this turf, is because you don't want water to sit
No, because this can create obviously, growth of mold and water ponding, and which obviously, no one wants to have that in the backyard. But you don't have to select the type of product straight away. And my background's landscape construction, so I also know that you can have a fantastic plan and design at the beginning of the project, but then, as once you get to landscaping, quite often you're already over the budget with quite a few things. So then you can adjust. Okay, well, you can either go for 25 mil grass, which is the cheapest landscaping grass in our product range. It's still Australian made, UV stabilized, and it's covered by 7-year manufacturer warranty. But because the amount of yarn that is used for production is much smaller than for 35 mil or 40 mil, therefore the price is a little bit lower. But then or if you're within the budget and you want to actually upgrade the product, you can go for 40 mil. Urban prestige. Yeah,
people do worry about how hot does it get, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it can get quite hot. And I always mention it to clients, especially if they do want to put synthetic turf next to glass panel fencing, because it all depends on the location of the sun, but it can get hot, but there are few ways to quickly cool it down. Obviously sand infill is extremely important. That keeps the grass cooler by approximately 10 degrees in comparison to products without sand infill.
Yes, we're so conscious now about what waste we put into the environment. What do you guys sort of, I know we talked about a little bit earlier about recycling. So tell us a little bit about how, some older stuff can get used into new places and some of the areas where they do use.
Yeah, so unfortunately at this stage, there's no recycled synthetic turf in Australia.
No.
But, obviously we are very conscious about how much product goes into the landfill. We, as a manufacturer, what we offer to our clients is manufacture, if we have enough notice given from clients, we can manufacture the length of rolls to required lengths. Some used synthetic turf material is being used in bunkers on golf courses or animal shelters.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is really, that's great. But I think when I look at synthetic turf, I also think about all the water that is not going to be used over
huge,
10-15 years. Another thing is all the chemicals. They don't get applied, and then they don't end up in the water system, in rivers and creeks, and then in the end in the ocean. So I think it's good to keep in mind also those kind of things.
100%. Yeah, maintenance is
and maintenance time.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's fantastic. Well, thanks so much for your time today. We really appreciate it, and we've worked together on many projects already, and can't wait to continue to work on more together with hopefully showing our homeowners the huge benefits of using urban turf.
Yeah, thanks very much, Nick.
Thanks so much for your time.
No worries.